Welcome to the Cryptoteacher. And guys, you know I come back with that second video. This is Trump's speech, the executive order that was recently done, Decoded.
And good afternoon. My administration has been working around the clock in good faith to reach an agreement with Democrats on additional China virus relief. Already my administration has enacted over $3 trillion in historic relief, saving many tens of millions of dollars in jobs. And you see how fast the economy is coming back. It does look like it's going to be a very sharp V. We have tremendous enthusiasm, tremendous spirit, and tremendous job growth. We set a record on number of jobs in the last 3 months. It's the most jobs ever created in a 3-month period, during a 3-month period. Negotiations, we have repeatedly stated our willingness to immediately sign legislation providing expanded unemployment benefits, protecting Americans from eviction, and providing additional relief payments to families. Democrats have refused these offers. They want to negotiate. What they really want is bailout money for states that are run by Democrat governors and mayors, and that have been run very badly for many, many years and many decades, in fact. You know the states. Everybody knows who we're talking about and what we're talking about. I don't think we have to go over it. But what the Democrats primarily want is bailout money. It has nothing to do with the China virus. It has nothing to do with anything that we've been talking about over the last period of time. They want to bail out states that have been badly managed by Democrats, badly run by Democrats for many years, and in fact, in all cases, many decades. And we're not willing to do that. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer have chosen to hold this vital assistance hostage on behalf of very extreme partisan demands, and the radical left Democrats said we just can't do that. So hopefully we can do something with them at a later date, but we're going to be signing some bills in a little while that are going to be very important and will take care of pretty much this entire situation.
We know who writes Trump's speeches, and that's Stephen Miller. So you actually saw that when they write a speech, it must be done in Hegelian dialectic form. So you hear Trump constantly say Democrats, Democrats, Nancy Pelosi, Democrats want this, Democrats want that. Now, going over the first portion, he states that we're going V-shape. We know the stock market is fake. We know 85% of the stock market is owned by the top 10%. We know BlackRock owns like 70% of every major company. We know BlackRock is buying stocks. We know the Fed is buying stocks. So we know this V-shape is false. Now, also, we know that the employment is false because we know what? It's just the old employers hiring back the old employees. Trump also says the Democrats want to bail out the states. And then later on in the speech, he goes over the $400 stimulus, but he says $300 is going to come from them, and then the other $100 is going to come from the states, which is what? Going to bankrupt the states.
Increase voter fraud, banning voter ID. They want to ban voter ID. We should have voter ID in every state. Every state should have voter ID. You have ID on everything you do practically. Everybody has voter ID. Everybody has ID except for voters. When you vote, you don't want ID. They don't want it. We have some states with it. It works out great. And if you want to stop fraud in elections, have voter ID. They want measures designed to increase voter fraud, which is banning voter ID in all states and banning requirements for signature verification in federal elections. Now, why would they want, in this bill, which really has nothing to do with what we're talking about, stimulus, something banning voter ID in every single state? They want to ban it, including states where we already have it, because we have some states where we have it, Indiana and others that do very well. They also compel the mass release of inmates. What does this have to do with what we're talking about? This is Nancy Pelosi, crazy Nancy, and Chuck Schumer. They want to compel you to do this stuff, and this has nothing to do with what we're talking about, and it includes serious felons. They want to have these people released on a mass basis, including serious felons. That's page 1,689, page 1,762. Think of that. 1,762, and that's nowhere near the end of their bill. They have things in there that nobody has even had the time to look at or read. These people I honestly don't believe they love our country. You want to know the truth. Tax holiday to Americans earning less than $100,000 per year. In a few moments, I will sign a directive instructing the Treasury Department to allow employers to defer payment of the employee portion of certain payroll taxes from September 1st. And we're actually going to be making that. We just got the word. We're just getting some word from a lot of people. We didn't think we'd have to do this because we thought the Democrats would be reasonable, but they've been not only unreasonable, they've been ridiculous. So we're going to make that August 1st, most likely. It'll be August 1st. We'll let you know the exact date, but we're looking like August 1st.
Now, Trump goes over voter ID, and voter ID is actually attached to blockchain and crypto because, of course, we know that Pay ID does what? Your name, your birth certificate, your address. Global ID does the same thing. So this is all intertwined to bring this in. So there's nothing but the Hegelian dialectic. Now, also, he speaks about the prison inmates. What's going on with the prison inmates? Now, of course, the average inmate is probably cost like $500,000 to keep an inmate in prison. We know they already stated that private prisons are going to be a thing of the past. So what they're trying to do now is get rid of the prison system. The prison system was nothing but what? A form of slavery. Not to rehabilitate you, but to put you in slavery.
Second, I'm signing an executive order directing the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HHS, and CDC to make sure renters and homeowners can stay in their homes. So I'm protecting people from eviction. Yet you've been hearing a lot about eviction, and the Democrats don't want to do anything having to do with protecting people from eviction. I said, let's do that separately. That could be a totally separate thing from passing along money so people can live. And they didn't even want to protect people from eviction, so they would get evicted. It's not their fault that this virus came into our country. It's China's fault, and came into the world. By the way, a lot of the people, a lot of the states that were doing the Americans who are unemployed due to the China virus. Under the CARES Act, I proudly signed expanded unemployment benefits into law. Congressional Democrats have stonewalled our efforts to extend this relief. They even opposed measures that would give bonuses to workers returning to the job. They were totally opposed to that. For this reason, I'm taking action to provide an additional or an extra $400 per week in expanded benefits. $400, okay? So that's generous, but we want to take care of our people. Again, it wasn't their fault, it was China's fault. States will be asked to cover 25% of the cost using existing funding, such as the tens of billions of dollars available to them through the Coronavirus Relief Fund. Under this plan, states will be able to offer greater benefits if they so choose, and the federal government will cover 75% of the cost. So we're all set up. It's $400 per week, and we're doing that without the Democrats. We should have been able to do it very easily with them. But
now he does an executive order to give $400 to the unemployed, $300 from them, $100 from the state. Now, we don't have a payment system to do that. So that's actually going to slow down the process of them just going ahead to approving and come up with some type of deal. So actually this is slowing up. So a person is sitting at home thinking that this is going to be effective immediately. No, they don't even have the system to do that. Give $300 from the Fed and then $100 from the state. That makes no sense whatsoever. But of course, those who don't understand finances think that, okay, he does an executive order, we're going to get this money immediately. It doesn't work like that. Now, as far as with the payroll tax, they already backed away from that. Social Security, we know that that's Social Security, Medicare. So if you're not paying into it, that means it's going to drop. It's already limited funds already. Now it's really going to drop. But guys, it's nothing but the Hegelian dialectic. The Republicans and the Democrats are on the same side. Always remember this. Money does not fight money. You have a wonderful day.